See what I get from the refreshment counter. Oh, boy, popcorn and candy bars and ice cream and, oh, boy, sparkling ice-cold Coca-Cola. Oh, boy, that tastes good. Have you been to the refreshment counter?
Remember, your favorite snack will taste especially good with world-famous ice-cold Coca-Cola.
Of the Custom Underground Podcast, Episode 5, Season 2. And we have on here My Damn Toys. We got the Mad Reaper, and of course, I'm the real chosen one. We are so happy to have you on our show. Immediately when you agreed to be in the tournament, I went and told Mad Reaper and Showstopper, and they were ecstatic. So thank you for being on our show. Thank you for joining our tournament.
Well, thank y'all. It's like I told you, like I told both of you, the podcast, I found them on YouTube, and I didn't even know y'all did this. So, like, for me to find it, and I hit Chosen One up, and I said, do y'all have any spots left? And luckily, there were some spots left, and I was happy to join.
Awesome.
Was history.
Yeah, the first season was a lot of trial and error, so I think now season 2, we're pretty stoked with the level of talent.
So how long have you had your page? You have 13K plus followers. That is amazing.
I've had my Instagram page maybe 2 years now, but I didn't like get hardcore into like WWE figures for like at least like 8 months of that. So I haven't really been in the WWE figure community that long.
Nice. What were you collecting before that?
I like to do the Dragon Ball Z, the SH figure arts.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, I was hardcore into those. So I started out like that, and that's how my page like started. And then I don't know where it came from, but then it just turned into this massive WWE figure thing. So I don't know.
So what are your tips to grow our page?
I don't know. When I first started, it was just about like uploading videos and pictures of like stuff that I would like to see. Like I was like, dude, I don't know if y'all know who Shartimus Prime is.
Yeah.
Well, like I watched his videos and I was like, dude, there needs to be somebody out there that does this the way that he does it. Like I want to see WWE figure reviews that way. So that's pretty much where that came from. But then just upload good. Like, I don't know, upload consistent quality content, and the rest is
Stay
history.
true to yourself.
Oh yeah.
Man, you're a content beast too. Like on that, like how often do you upload? Like I'm subscribed, so I like see something new. Like I feel like every other day.
Yeah, I try to upload every day because I've found that like when people take breaks and people like take a long time off, it's like people forget about you or something. So I try to stay fresh in people's mind. I'm constantly, trying to get my name out there, trying to get content out there. So people always are like, oh yeah, there's that dude. And then I don't know.
That dude again.
Yeah, I'm trying to, like, it sucks because when I'm away at school, I'm not around my figures. I'm not around everything. So I try to, like, when I go home on the weekends, I grind really hard to, like, get as much customs, as much content as possible. So when I go home or go to school for the week, I have stuff that I can upload and I'm not just sitting there rotting while all of my figures are at home. So,
So when we do this, we obviously go research your page and everything. What would you say your page is about? Because it's a little of everything, really. I mean, you have the predictions, you have the figures. It's a little bit of everything. Would you agree?
I would agree. It's kind of hard because, like, I love the analytical stuff of wrestling. I love the new figures that come out. I love customs. I love the fix up. So I'm just sort of like a jack of all trades. If we're doing custom, I want to knock out a customs. Like I say this all the time. The reason I love the wrestling figure community so much is because I love the creativity of it. Like, you can put this part with this part and make this guy, or you can take the head off of this basic and it looks better than the elite that came out. Stuff like that. I just love that. And like, I'm obsessed with that, the process.
Man, absolutely.
Awesome. I feel the same way.
Yeah, man, it's like crazy. It's like I don't know, like when you follow so many people like Jesus or Beast Nation or Showstopper, and they're putting these figures together and they're painting up this way and stuff, and you're like, wow, I never thought about that. I got to try that.
Yeah, man. I think
Showstopper is an absolute freaking beast. There's no doubt about that.
Hey, Beast of the Year from the Dammy Awards. So
I don't know. I think that's what Pat's probably pulling up. Whenever he goes on his phone, I know he's pulling something up. So.
Yeah, I just want to show off something that Showstopper did today. I'm sure you all saw it. The Wolfpack Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, he's a freaking animal. I'm glad that him and Mad Reaper aren't in the tournament, because I'd be in for sure trouble.
Oh man, it
That
takes
wolf,
me
man.
3
That's-
months to
that's
finish
amazing.
a figure.
We counted up like the other day, and it was in January, just beginning, and he already had like 20 made.
Oh, I believe it.
You did a figure draft, which is the first time I've ever seen that, and it was really cool against Undisputed Brotherhood, which of course you won hands down because you did the stupid thing of picking Baron Corbin. Who was your last pick? Do you remember?
I think my last pick was it Kane?
Yeah, it was Kane. That's right. It's like, who would you rather have, Baron Corbin or Kane? Smart drafting. Yeah, I was really impressed by that. That was a really cool concept. And then, for those who aren't familiar, go over to his page and the Undisputed Brotherhood page, and they drafted a bunch of people, like regular superstars. Then they had a 3-round, Hall of Fame, basically, round. And then they went on how they would book the matches, like a WrestleMania type main event. And that was a really cool idea. It's the first time I've ever seen it. I suggest you guys all check it out. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Well, not only that, like the pick fed situation of it, man. Like you got me wanting to do something because, like, how you're a really good booker, dude. Like I gotta admit, like when I'm watching that, it's pretty fun, man. Like, when did you get into that? I know that's been a new sort of thing for you.
It was around. It's kind of funny because, like, I know G Natty. If y'all know who G Natty is, he had his pick fed going forever. He's been doing his, and they always did like the pay-per-views. It would only be pay-per-views, and I was like, well, where's the storyline? I want to know what happened.
Yeah.
Did this guy attack this guy? Like, how did this form? So I was like, it was like last summer. It was like summer 2017 or something. I'd had the idea forever. I said I want to have dual brands. I want to do a draft, and then I want to have like as fast as we can put them out. I want to do shows, and I want to add commentary, and I want to add the effects, and I want to have the crowd, and I want to have pyro. I want to make my own wrestling show, but with figures. And so it just evolved. I got with Curb Stomp, got some decals for each show, found the guy to make the custom ring skirts, used some ringside ropes, and just sort of set up my whole arena. And then the rest is history. I just started booking stuff, and my brother helps me out. He does Vindication, the blue brand. And so that helps me out a ton. So when I'm not home, he can grind on it and get it, sort of going. And I run MDT Live, and I sort of give him the most creative control of his brand, because I don't want to be like Vince, have everything by the throat. But I let him do his thing, and then I do mine. And it's had a lot of fun to see it come to life. It's a ton of.
Oh man, yeah, I can't even imagine. How long does it take you to do the post-production on something like that? Oh, hey, wait. I think my audio's going out here.
Yeah, I can't hear him.
MDT. Can you hear me, Pat?
I can hear you.
Okay, got you. Just on that one answer there.
It slipped out a little bit before that, but...
Are we good now?
Perfect, yeah, we're good.
Perfect.
Sorry about that.
No, you're
But
good.
MDT Blackout was our first pay-per-view. It was on Halloween night, and I sort of screwed up because it was like maybe a week and a half before Halloween, and I said, it's going to be up on Halloween. It's Blackout. I want it up on Halloween. And we literally had none of the show done. So we had to grind for a week and a half, just like I'm talking matches. Like we had to sit there and film. And then literally the night before Halloween, it was like the 30th, I stayed up from 1 a.m. It took me all the way until like 8 p.m. to edit the show. So it was like a full 17 hours on the computer, sitting there editing that thing. And I was like, never again will I ever try to make a deadline.
So were you editing the show together first and then doing a narration over that, or were you doing like match by match, or how were you doing that?
Yeah, I know a lot of people do it different ways, but what I do is I try to, I start from the very beginning, plug the intro, and then as I take the pictures, like I'm filming the
Yeah.
show, I sort of have an idea in my head of how I'm going to place it in the editing. So yeah, edit the full show, have the crowd in there, and then I'll come in and commentate, plug in, my wife doing the ring announcing and all that good stuff.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, that's how it goes.
That's exactly how I was. Before I got back into customizing stuff, I was doing like some fan films and made a couple Batman fan films that I'm not proud of, but it was a lot of work, So editing, so like even something like editing this podcast together takes like a good hour or so.
Absolutely.
Last week we had a ton of like technical difficulties, so like I'd ask Chargrove a question and then it'd be me like for 30 seconds. So like I had to edit a lot of those awkward pauses out. But no, man, I'm a big fan.
Getting together, though.
That pick fed though is something that I thought was really cool the way you did it, because like you are sponsored as well, and and so like the commercials and the things in between really make it seem like such a more fulfilling experience, I guess. More authentic. Like there's actually like a hey, while we're on a break here, you're going through the spots or whatever, and I know that let's talk about that. Like, that seems like a big thing to be able to get sponsored, and now you're with Ringside Collectibles, right? So, like, what is the, I guess, if someone's watching and they're like, hey, I want to be an MDT, because kids nowadays, like, being YouTube, like, is a viable form. What is your advice to that?
Well, when I first started out, like I said, I wanted to do, I just wanted to post videos that nobody posted. I was like, I want to put content out there that I'm looking for. So that's how it started. And then I wouldn't say start out trying to build a career out of it, because that's just, it's going to result in a lot of letdowns. It's going to result in a lot of frustration. And like, I don't know, there's so many people out there. It's really tough to compete with. Not saying you shouldn't do it, because I totally push it. I'm all for, doing your own thing and trying to make it, because that's what it's all about. But I want to, it's just about bringing your creativity to it and just, grinding hard at it. Don't ever like try to be something you're not. Just put it all out there. And, YouTube's made like these strict restrictions now where you have to have like 1,000 subs and so many hours before you can even earn any money from it. So it's sort of crazy what they're doing now. But just start out trying to do it for fun, and if it builds into a career, it builds into a career. But I'm totally blessed to say that I'm sponsored by Ringside Collectibles. When I first started, I didn't think that was even possible, and now here we are. So it's definitely, anything's possible as long as you work hard, have some faith and grind at it and do your best.
Well, it's crazy too, because I mean, I think you said the key there earlier on, not to that answer, but like, what you wanted to see something, you wanted to see this content.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what makes it so cool, is that it's like, hey, I want to see this out there. And now, YouTube is like the 21st century cable. So it's like,
yeah, exactly.
Where wrestling figures got to find a new way to advertise, because like TV show commercials aren't going to, drive a lot of people to the market. So, yeah, I thought that was really cool. And then dipping into customizing, like, I thought what was really cool was that I remember it was like September, it was around September, I had an idea for a Finn Pennywise, and then even before I could start it, yours came out, and it was badass. And it was cool because it was like so similar in like Finn Balor, but not only did you do that one, which I think kind of gave birth to a much larger movement as well, but you had another one. You had the Saw one, and so like you had the Batman one, and so like a lot of those were super creative, man. And it's just crazy to see like Finn Balor, how versatile he is. But like, where did that come from? Is he like one of your favorite wrestlers, and you're like, hey, this would be cool, or just what was your inspiration?
It's funny because my brother's like a Finn Balor fan. I'm a huge fan of him, but my brother's like out there. Like, he got like 8 different Balors done from Showstopper, and he has like this whole all the Finn Balors that I make go straight to his shelf, and they're all up there. It's really awesome. But I just we had the idea, and then after the It one came out, we were like, okay, well, it got so much positive feedback. Why don't we do one every month? And he was like, you could do Saw, you could do Leatherface, you could do, and we just started churning ideas. And I was like, bro, we could do Grinch for Christmas. And he was like, yeah, go ahead. So then, yeah, now it's just become, it's a monthly like tradition now. So, yeah, it just totally worked out that way. And I love all of them. And I like to take, again, it goes back to the creativity thing that I said, that I can just express all my creativity, get some ideas in there and go forward with it.
Yeah, man, I love that one. That white looks nice. I wish Finn would wear white more often.
I know. White's my favorite color. So,
so let's talk about this.
I couldn't tell.
Oh, yeah.
The Angels of S.H.I.E.L.D. No, so let's talk about that. Like, you've definitely dipped into customs more. You're definitely expanding your repertoire. Your skill set is improving, man. Everything that I watch, even on the fix-ups, I love the ideals. I think that where along do you see yourself as a customizer? Like, where did that transition come between, like, oh, I need some wrestlers, and getting customs to, like, hey, you know what, I can do this too, you know, and painting yourself. Where did that transition happen at?
It's kind of funny because, yeah, I made that Kenny. I made all 5 of those, yeah. Oh, and the
briefcase?
Yeah, I did make the briefcase, yeah.
That is awesome. I just want to throw that in there. I was looking at that
I appreciate it. That video didn't do as well as I thought it would, but it's all good. But
that happens with us too. Sometimes you think you got a surefire guest, a really stacked show, it's going to be awesome, and then viewership's a little down. So. Oh,
I know how that is. So where it came in, it's funny because it kind of started at the same time, because when I think the first like WWE figure I ever bought was like the Defining Moments John Cena with the orange jersey. It's like the draft lottery 05. And I just started like picking figures. Like I would look on eBay. I didn't even know about the Mattel line for real. I always loved wrestling. That's like, so that's not a big thing, but I started finding random figures, Batista, you know, Stone Cold, just random guys that I liked growing up. So, and then I found like the Facebook groups, and I found, you know, all the BEW and all the pages on Instagram. And then I was like, okay, well, if they can paint them and stuff, I might as well try. So I started buying figures to try to make Christian. If you go back to the first post on my page, or one of the first posts, it's literally a Chris Jericho, like a Legend Killer Orton, and all this stuff. So it kind of started around the same time because I've always loved art and stuff like that.
Wow, man, that's going to be scrolling up for a long time there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's rough too.
And so, speaking about it, specifically your entry here, which we've already received, and man, it's great work. I'm super impressed, and I'm even more impressed that the pick. Like, I love the pick. Like, I don't, you know, like last time. I mean, there's a lot of Pentagons this time, but last time there was a lot of Grand Metalik, and you know, Rock Jabroni and Dogcrack did him. But you picked someone that was very unorthodox, and let's talk to us about what your pick was and your mindset going into this.
Well, I when you said masked wrestler, I was like, Jesus, because you know I've never sculpted before, so I was like, oh Lord. I was like, okay, well, let's try to do one with a mask already. So I asked him about Rey Mysterio, and he said, no, it doesn't need to be, because you know he was in the Rumble and stuff. And I was like, okay, well that's cool. I guess I'm just gonna have to use this to challenge myself. So yeah, like look at that trash. That's awful.
Yeah.
But then I was like, you know what? One of my favorite wrestlers growing up was Chris Benoit. It's awful what happened and everything, but you know he was one of my favorites, and he really inspired me with wrestling. So I was like, you know what? Let's go back to his origins and let's just try Pegasus Kid. And then I looked through my fodder bin. I was like, what parts sort of worked for him, and the rest was that.
Man, they were like, he had such a cool look, like, too. There's something about, like, the classical luchadors that I like, because, like, there's an art to doing something that may at first seem less glam, like, Son of Havoc, you know, that Nick from Australia is doing a Son of Havoc, and, like, I expressed, like, man, it's gonna be difficult, because even I'm doing a Son of Havoc, and I'm like, this is a pretty simple figure, but it's not necessarily an easy one, so, like, that's what makes it tough. I feel like with Chris Benoit and Pegasus Kid, he's someone that like most people don't even know of, especially like the millennials. You know, like they're not like, hey, what was Chris Benoit's first gimmick? And it's like, well, he was actually a luchador, masked wrestler. So, let's talk about your opponent. Or were you aware of your opponent? That is Stavros from the first round.
I actually didn't know until like the other day. I rewatched like I think I rewatched all of the rounds where y'all judged, and I rewatched all of the first tournament just so I could have like an idea. And so I
Appreciate
looked at
support.
always. So I was looking through there, and I noticed I was like, Beyond Custom Figures, he's not even on the thing. And then I scrolled on his IG to where he posted his new jack,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my God, that was the same guy. And I was like, Jesus, I probably need to like resubmit my work now.
No,
So
and that's the cool thing though, is because I thought that was a great matchup because before Stavros, I want to always call him by his name, but I shouldn't. It's Beyond. I think he switched it. He's a rock star, and so I think the one thing was that like when he first started Max Moon, he had never sculpted before either. So like I'm like, man, like not only does the sculpting, but the creativity, because I think those ideas like Pegasus Kid, Max Moon, those are all like really off the wall ideas that I'm excited to see as a fan. But from our last series, you kind of seen like our last season, I guess you kind of seen the categories and stuff. You being a creative mind, what categories would you like to see in this season?
I've actually thought about this question, and I was like, I wanted to see like just different eras, I guess. Like I would like to see like Ruthless Aggression or
Very cool.
Attitude. You know, just like pick an era and pick somebody that Mattel hasn't made yet. Maybe Jack's made them, but just specifically somebody that Mattel hadn't made, and just pick an era. Ruthless Aggression. You know, anything I guess before like '05 or something like that would be cool.
That would be sweet. I mean, I know we kind of flopped when we said ECW because we're big ECW fans, and then like
Yeah, stuff like that. It's awesome.
one of those kids was like, "Hey, I don't know anyone from ECW." And we're like, "Shit." You probably shouldn't start watching it then. But
Yeah.
no, man, very cool. I'm stoked. But let's talk about one thing that I think is really in your wheelhouse, and that is the photography of the pictures. I think that's where you have even more so of a clear advantage because you are a professional when it comes to the content creation side of it. And you know, you can see a lot of talented customizers that we've talked about it before. You can barely see some of their work. But like everything, man. I've watched my own Aleister Black review I think more times than I would like to admit on your channel because I was like, damn, he looks sweet, man. But like, so what is your keys? What is your tips to provide the rest of the tournament and other customizers with photographing your work? I know you had a video that goes by this, so I don't want to take away from the video, but I think you had a lot of good tips on there.
No, you're good. It's definitely in there. It's like the first tip, I think, and it's all about lighting. So what I did was like before I even started my channel, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be one of these kids that's using the fridge light to review this figure. I want people to be able to see this thing. I want it to be professional. So I just went to Walmart, and they have like these great value bulbs that are like daylight. And so I just bought like a few lamps, and they're not expensive, you know, like desk lamps, like $8 or $9, and then you can buy the great value pack of bulbs for like $6 for a 4-pack or something. So I just screwed all that in, plugged them in the wall, and aim them right there. And you can actually look this up. You can look it up. There's like a way you can do it where you can have like a background or something, and you can reflect the light off of it or something. And I don't know the exact line of it, but it'll get the most contrast, get the most focus on the figure as possible. So that's definitely what you want to do.
And so then do you take your phones or the pictures with your camera or your phone, or like how do you take the pictures?
It depends. If it's a custom figure, I actually have an iPhone 7 Plus that I had, but then like it got shut off for whatever reason. I had to downgrade my phone. So now I basically just have a really expensive iPod, and it takes the best pictures I've ever seen. So I use that to photograph my customs. Oh, wow. And for the pig fed and stuff, I use like my Nikon because it's really clean.
Yeah.
So, that's what I use.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I know what we'll have you break down. I know we talked about it earlier, talking about like doing a pre-fight type show, and I ran that by Pat, and I was like, man, we should do this together. Let's do it on the card here, because I think more than anything, you are very knowledgeable too about the other customizers out there. And then, you know, Pat said right before this, he's like, man, I watch his channel. He's got a great voice for it. And I'm like hell yeah, let's do it. Like, let's have our pre-fight breakdown. So I'm going to share my screen here. and we're gonna go through and get your thoughts and ours. But I know me, I find like I've said everything before, like my thoughts with this. But let's try to break down what we think in a more honest, brutal approach. We're not gonna dog on anyone, you guys.
Okay.
You know, but we're gonna be
Yeah.
saying like, hey, what's the big difficulty here? Because I feel like I'm pretty brash sometimes. So
Yeah. Oh, I've watched the judging, and it's crazy because y'all are like, one round it'll be like chosen one soft and you're hard, and then the next time it'll be the opposite.
I know. Yeah. Then we ended up trying to like score separately, and then we come back and we're like, oh man, yeah, chosen one's an asshole. No. He's always really nice.
Thanks.
No, I'm kidding. You're always good. Much better than me. So.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool to have like a tail of the tape when we're judging, like right before, to have the year's experience, you know, the country they're representing, and all that kind of information. And like you said, maybe some special information about them personally and their customizing. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
So first off, we have Nick Johnson doing the Son of Havoc.
Yeah, we got. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we got Nick Johnson versus Bubble and Squeak, which we've seen his figure too. Man, both of these dudes like look insane. Like these figures. First of all, so we got Son of Havoc versus Rey Mysterio in the
WCW Havoc
Halloween Havoc attire with the full purple bodysuit that's airbrushed. What are your
It
thoughts
looks
on?
pretty darn nice.
It's very nice.
I don't think I've. Does Nick Johnson have an Instagram? I don't even think.
He is new. Yeah, he is new. He does.
Nick
I think it's Nick's Custom Toys. That's what I was gonna say though. I was gonna say, you know, Nick is really new here because he's in a space. He's just now getting into wrestling figures. So.
Okay. But Bubble and Squeak. Bubble and Squeak is pretty freaking impressive. Like, I remember when I saw his name on my side of the bracket, I was like, Jesus, if I make it to the finals, I'm gonna have me a freaking matchup right there, because he is he's very clean in what he does, and he came out of nowhere. It's like nobody really knew who he was, and then he just popped onto the screen, and then here he is. So I'm excited to see what he brings.
What was Bubble and Squeak's story too? We should have talked to him.
I know is he from the UK?
I think so. Yeah, he definitely is.
But now that I'm seeing Nick's stuff is very clean as well. So.
Yeah, it's Nick's Son of Havoc right there. Man, what a beast.
Yeah, very cool. I can't wait to see what it looks like with paint.
Yeah, he's like, I see a lot of these customizers that are here kind of make me worried because like they fully prime their figures, and they're like, you know, like guys like Tommy's Customs and Nick, like their figures before they painted them up were like, totally primed.
Bubble and Squeak. Look at that.
Yeah, that's sweet. That's a cool P done.
Yeah, and then his question marks on his Ray.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That he uploaded, that looks amazing as well. So I'm excited to see what comes of that. Hopefully, we'll have a great matchup since both of them are such they have such clean work.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough because I think Bubble
This
and
card
Squeak
is totally stacked and jacked.
Yeah,
No doubt.
and that Rey Mysterio is a huge character to do. Man, that's so tough.
Both of them, I would think height would be an issue because Ray's obviously shorter, and Son of Havoc is also shorter, but not super short. So it's kind of, you get that proper range.
Wait, why did he do Rey Mysterio and then so it was just no WWE Rey Mysterio?
Yeah.
Okay. I just
we
didn't
couldn't
realize
use
he was doing
we
Rey
couldn't
Mysterio.
use the WWE attire because he was currently in the Royal Rumble, but we said we could do previous attires of other people. So he.
Man, that's gonna be exciting. Let's move on to the NWF versus ECW figure fed. Dude, the NWF put himself on the map last round, and I know we were talking about, he was the Gift of the Gods champion last time. If you were to have your say, like, hey, this would be really cool. What do you think would be a cool potential round for the next round? Because I would like we would like to do something similar to that. But what would you think would be a really cool off the wall twist?
For the Gift of the Gods?
Yeah.
Didn't last year y'all do, or last
Divas.
season y'all did the females?
Yep.
Yeah, the Divas.
Yep.
I don't know. I would like to see maybe like a specific. I don't want to go too like. I wouldn't want to see like everybody do the same thing. I would definitely keep it different, but maybe like pick a certain guy or group of guys, maybe like a tag team, and do like everybody picks a specific attire. Maybe you gotta lock it in before the other guys. If you would like to, check with Pat, make sure it's not taken, and then see what they can come up with.
Oh man, what would be really cool is like the fact that after this round we could have like twice the length before we needed to determine who the Gift of the Gods champion is, and with twice the amount of time we could do a tag team, and that would be really
exactly,
cool.
Yeah.
That'd be like clawing your way back from the depths of hell to fight for the finale. If you had to go through a tag team, because your tag team 2 figures need to be better than like, how many teams would we have? Well, 16 figures, right? We'd have 16 figures. So, yeah, that would be
exactly. Yeah, that'd be nice.
I'm think really intrigued by this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I think that ECW Figure Fed's gonna have his work cut out for him in this first round right here.
I agree.
Well, it's really interesting because the NWF's doing Tiger Mask, which would be, you would think would favor him. But then ECW Figure Fed's doing a Pentagon. So, it's going to depend on how they do them and how it turns out. But it could be a close one.
Yeah, it's going to depend on maybe if NWF brings it like we know he can. I think it'll probably be tough for ECW, but you never know, especially in a tournament atmosphere. NWF may, take a day off or something. So
yeah, I mean, hey, if ECW Figure Fed would have put in his Vampiro, I think in that finale, Lonely Bone Dust may have not got the championship. Like it
exactly, yeah.
But so let's talk
this
about
guy though. I'm totally sick of him. My damn toys. I mean, give me a break. But we are glad to have My Damn Toys doing Pegasus Kid and Starvos doing a Pentagon.
Wait. So, you bring an important point into my head that I was going to ask. Where did the name come from? My Damn Toys. It does sound very angry. Like, oh, my damn toys. Like.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember I was trying to start a figure page, and this goes back to the Dragon Ball Z stuff. So I was like, I don't know, like what's a cool name? Like what could I call these? So I was just like, you know what, My Damn Toys. It sounds grown up. It doesn't sound like kiddie. It doesn't sound whatever. Yeah. I just went with it, and then it's just sort of evolved. I have like my own theme now. It's like the zebra print and the bright colors, the pink, yellow, and blue, and I don't know. It just sort of evolved.
Title belts from Showstopper himself.
Yeah, exactly. It just sort of evolved, man. Here we are today.
And MDT sounds like powerful and cool. And the logo you made me, I love it. Thanks again, brother. Like I think I was always trying to figure out like what would be a cool representation because it came from being the Grim Reaper, but everyone had that, so I had to change my gamer tag. But nonetheless, your initials are cool. You're MDT. Mine are MRS. And if people are like, Battery Pursutos, that's cool. And if they think it's Mrs., they're going to be like, oh, man. But so, that's sick work.
I appreciate it.
I guess what I was saying is MDT, you hit it right there on the ball because like that is it's a very powerful initial. So I think you got that covered.
I appreciate it. I'm kind of worried right here with this first matchup because I feel like my custom's not like too complicated. We've covered that a little bit. It's not nothing off the wall. So I try to go with production and cleanness of paint and try to focus on my strengths. I think I nailed pretty good on the mask design. Maybe the sculpting's not as as good as I'd like it to be, but I tried to do my best with what I had to work with. And it's tough because when you're going up with somebody like Pentagon with a good sculptor, it's like, oh Jesus, if he knocks this thing out of the park, I'm probably going to be packing my bags.
The good thing is though, I think he had only a couple days to work on it too, right? So it's actually I never thought of that till right now. It's pretty even handicap though.
Yeah, he had to go on tour, so and he gets back just a couple days before the tournament is going to end, or well, I mean the first round's going to close, and he has to work both days. So yeah, I mean anything can happen in this contest. That's why I love it. It's like they say in football, that's why we play the game on Sunday because anything can happen. So
you're right.
So you're really excited for that matchup. Let's go Cleo Biondo we know what we're getting into here. I mean, Biondo is a legend for customizing. Cleo is getting better in every custom. And so, what are your thoughts?
Cleo is doing Curryman, and Biondo is doing Psychosis.
Okay. I think that again, like you said, Biondo, as y'all call him, what is it? The great Biondo now.
The amazing Biondo.
Amazing. That's it. I don't know. I think, if Cleo seems like he's pretty passionate about customizing. You check his page. He's got some different stuff on there. He doesn't. He likes to go outside the box. He doesn't do a lot of stuff that a lot of other people are doing. And so I think that if he can work around it, he can bring his best game. And what we're getting with Biondo, we're going to get a really consistent, really clean work. So it's going to be intense to see how it unfolds at the judging.
Man, yeah, I think ditto what he said. I can't even break it down any further than that.
The mighty Hercules. That is Cleo's.
But
and of course, a Hall of Famer.
Jeff Jarrett. Who did that? Was Cleo?
That's Cleo's, yep.
Nice.
So, yeah, he gets really, like you said, better with every figure in a good way. He's just, not that he started bad, but he just keeps getting better and better and better. And he could give Biondo a run for his money, but Biondo nails Psychosis, it's all over.
Oh, man. So, going down to the next half of the bracket, we really went into detail on your bracket, but let's break it down on the right here just to see who are some names that stick out to you. Who do you think would be in the champion side of that side of the bracket, I guess?
I think it's definitely Chargrove's definitely up there. You've seen his work, freaking fantastic. Had him on the podcast. It's sort of it's scary, some of the stuff that he's putting out, but
yeah.
I think Angel called it, TSM. He's bringing some different stuff to the table as well. Very clean work. Angel, he's improving every day. Like his sculpting work is getting more and more clean, more and more detailed. So it's getting pretty scary there as well. So, and you heard his passion in that the last episode or 2 episodes ago. He was really passionate about bringing Chargrove down. So I'm excited to see his final product.
Man.
And I think this side's pretty loaded. I think I got a better end of the deal, honestly. I think this side is more stacked, in my opinion. So I think
CAW.
Yeah, a lot of great. Like it's kind of like the NBA West over here, and then I'm like in the East.
Yeah, I think also Will, if he can nail the Ultimo Dragon split mask. That,
definitely
split uniform, that's going to be amazing. So that's going to be a tough one to look out for. I'm excited for everyone. I mean, I just want to see the figures.
I'm excited for everyone too, but I do feel like the winner of Chargo versus Angel Falcon would have really. They're going to come out pretty.
They're going to be a favorite.
By the slim, it's going to be a split decision, but it's going to be a war for that one, and I think that either one of those guys that emerges is going to have a lot of momentum going into the next round, you would think.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny because I actually shouted out Chargrove the other day on Instagram. He had I don't know, what is it? He had 659 followers, and I shouted him out in my story. And you go check his page. He has 1,009 now. So that tells you what people think of his work.
That tells you how influential you are as well. And, man.
Yeah. Put Custom Underground up on your story. We need some people.
Oh, I definitely will. I'm gonna shout out this podcast and everything. So hopefully, but I was like, geez, man, that just tells you, because sometimes my followers can be stubborn and they'll be like, nah.
Oh
so,
yeah.
So
he had to turn down a lot.
But it really is amazing.
After that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I appreciate it so much. All the exposure you do, what you're doing for the community. About Chargrove, though, that was pretty funny last podcast. He's like, Rocket Jabroni's been ghosting me or whatever, and then I seen Rocket Jabroni was like, hey, I didn't mean to ignore you, I just don't take anything out. So I was like, man, it's pretty crazy that people are actually starting to watch, even if it's 20 of us.
Oh, I don't even want to tell you, bro. Like, I literally, like, my wife will come in, like, I'll wake up early, to film, and she'll come in at, like, 8 a.m., and I'm just listening to y'all's podcast while I'm working or
Oh,
customizing
man.
or,
Well, you
like, I
have to come
literally,
on.
Thank you.
You'll have to come on again, and might need a future co-host for Pat if I have to step aside and make Lucha Underground figures. But you guys can help me too.
I would gladly do that. Like, I don't know, like, again, like I said, I'm, like, obsessed with the competition and everything. Like, I've been competitive my whole life. Played college football, played basketball my whole life. So I just love competition. I love tournaments like King of the Ring, Money in the Bank, Royal Rumble,
Oh,
stuff like
man.
that. Just, it gets me freaking hype. So
Well, we appreciate you coming on here. I know it's funny because I said the same thing to my wife. We always have our conversations, and I was like, "What? I'm excited that MDT's in here because I feel like the next progression of your channel is I see it, is like a network, and I think that what you bring to it is so cool. You are like the wrestling customizing channel, and you really bring together a lot of talent, and I think that that's something that in hindsight you'll see how much of an impact you're making. But I want to thank you for all the platform, everything you've done for me, man, getting me off my ass to do the Aleister Black, because I had the parts where I was like, I want to do it for myself, but I just don't feel motivated. And then you're like, oh, I do that? I was like, I was waiting for Aleister Black. Yeah, for
oh,
sure.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate all of y'all, everything y'all do. Again, literally, like, when I say I'm obsessed with the tournament, I'm like obsessed with the tournament. Like, we come on here, I'm breaking down the matchups. I've already broken down the matchups. Like, I've taken notes. I'm like, okay, well, what I'm doing bracketology. I'm like, well, if this guy wins, then I'm gonna have to do this and this guy. Well, what if this guy upsets this guy? Then I got to do this. So
Well,
I'm
That's
constantly.
awesome.
Results, regardless of whatever the results are, we'd love to have you back on and even do this more and make a tradition out of this, because I do think that man, what we wanted to at the end of the day was a podcast about wrestling customs, and we still have some tweaking to do, and we're coming out with a series. I'm going to be doing beginning to end of customizing, like like a like an anthology, like, hey, how
Yeah,
do you go from step one to final step? So I'm gonna be doing that
absolutely.
as my goodbye tune, probably. But we appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, bro. Pat, any last words?
Thank you for
Questions?
everything you do for our community. You're making it a better place. We appreciate that. Anytime you need some fill-in guests, we're definitely available.
Absolutely.
Good luck in this competition, and I can't wait to see the video that you shot today.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank y'all for
Awesome.
having me. And hopefully, when this podcast goes off, I'm here to talk like 30 more minutes if you'd like. So,
Well, hey, yeah, let's we could film the rest of the podcast. But so what were we gonna dip into after this show, Pat?
This was the show. He is the main
He is the
event.
show. But we are going to talk about our scoring, like, right? I think it bears repeating one last time exactly how this thing is scored. The audience participation, which is accounted for in a third of a vote. Is that how we worked it out?
Yeah.
And so My Damn Toys is clearly going to whoop everybody's ass here. On that, his followers will mobilize. But we're really excited to see that, because our criteria, we try to be very fair, and I think it was tough, man. This judging for last season was super tough, and a lot of times it came down to a few points. Pat,
Yeah.
what are the things, again, for maybe this season's the newcomers? What really irritates you?
Really irritates me is when skin tones don't match. That absolutely drives me nuts, because nothing will ruin a good figure more than having something off like that just a little bit. It will drive me absolutely nuts. Usually the first round, by chance, we tend to be a little bit more lenient because everyone's getting used to the rules, and we tighten up as the rounds progress. But this is going to be super tough, and it is going to come down, I think, on almost all these to just a few points, because all these customizers are great, and the matchups, you couldn't ask for better matchups. Thank you, random.org generator, for these great matchups. I couldn't be more excited.
The last season, Beyond vs. Rocket Jabroni robbed us of a great battle later on. It had to eliminate a killer from the get-go. Alright, I'm going to share the scorecard here. Just pulling it up.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, look at Chargrove versus Falcon. Any one of those guys could go on to compete for the finals, and they're meeting in the first round. So,
And that's the thing about this is that it is super competitive. It's like I'm going to Vegas this weekend, and I know there was a custom contest for that Toy Con on Sunday, but it's like over by the time my flight gets there, and I was like, man, I wish there was a customs contest. I wish there was more customs contests. It'd be a cool place to like eventually one day have a custom contest or a seminar and be able to have lectures about how these are and have Mattel there and whatnot. Like a figure fest, but not just ringside exclusive. But regardless,
absolutely.
Off on a tangent, we got the judging criteria here, and this is something that I think may still be changed a little bit, maybe not. I mean, it's the exact same one from last year, so I think it tended to work out pretty fun last time. The workmanship being obviously, I think, the big offsetter here. We got the part selection, we got the sculpting, the preparation, and you can see that like from people like Nick Johnson, just a primered Son of Havoc, but he's completely resculpting the body. And Matt Cross has the toughest body to sculpt because he's shredded, but he's like stacked and he's only like 5'6". So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. What are you, Madame Toys? I want you to break down what do you think most customizers are lacking on in terms of this scorecard? I guess the reason I say this and the reason I think you're uniquely qualified, because of all your figure reviews and because of your eye for and attention to detail, what are these things that really, knocks back a figure or really puts it up? Like a great sculpt on a shitty paint job, maybe, like how does that compare to a great paint job on a shitty sculpt? So, floor is yours.
I would say like one of my biggest things is part selection and like likeness. Like if you have, I guess that's sort of two there, but I'll cover part selection first. So like, I don't know what's a good example. Like how Mattel's releasing these Finn Balor's with like Daniel Bryan torso. It's like that's ridiculous. Like are you serious? Like you might as well just go punch Finn Balor in the face because you just degraded that man's six pack that he's worked hours upon.
Very
but
true.
I hate when people use like two lesser ripped torsos or massive legs, or when they're making a Kurt Angle and it's supposed to be 5'11", 6 foot, and he's like 6'4" because you used a Jack Swagger. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, spot on, man. Yeah. Jack Swagger, like it's too unfortunate that he wasn't like 6'1" because his figures would be the most popular everywhere. But
you're right.
The fact that he was jacked is he's too tall for a lot of people.
Likeness is sort of tough because, not everybody has a head scan. There's a ton of head scans out there that don't exist. Owen Hart, Chris Benoit's hard to track down. So I had to sort of, go outside the box with that one. And originality is important, I think. Like, I have arguments with people all the time because they're like, you got that fix-up from so-and-so. And I'm like, well, I didn't know that existed, and I don't think that's, So, I don't know. I think originality is big as well. If you're think outside the box, try to find a different way around it, experiment with different parts and stuff like that.
Yeah, actually, on that note, shout out to our producer Nick Manawa. I remember on we did
Nick Manawa figures.
Yeah, we did a thing. Last season was like, what was the biggest pet peeves? And Nick actually said, and he's like a OG from way back in the day wrestling figs, But I remember him saying, like, no one owns a formula, no one owns the part selection, like, there's nothing original, and in an
exactly.
art, we're all, kind of thieves because we're just working on someone else's forms anyway, so.
Exactly.
Shout out to Nick. I agree with exactly with what you said there. The other note made me laugh was BEW actually made a head scan for you. And that was awesome.
I know, like, my God, what was that? I was totally floored by that.
It's like, man, who's got a crazy smile like that happy? And that was Psycho Sid. It was a great figure, though. He's a head choice killer. And like I said with the Aleister Black, that was all your part selection, man. You just told me what to do, and I was like, okay. But
yeah, I took BEW's formula, and of course, I think we give him props.
Oh yeah.
So I mean,
He was the original. I mean, he's the first one to do the Aleister Black, and that Heath Slater scan is like.
It's kind of creepy how accurate it is.
It's scary because it didn't look anything like Heath Slater, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
I'm excited to see what Mattel puts out when they finally do Aleister.
Yeah, it should
It's
be
not
coming
going to
soon.
be anything near what you guys are doing.
I hope.
I think they're going to drop the ball.
I hope his hits get. I hope his tattoos at least look good. Like.
Yeah, definitely.
And another thing to look out with the scoring card is we know Showstopper is going to be big on the painting skills. He's a beast at painting skills. So, he's going to hit hard on that one. It's going to be a tougher judger on the painting skills. So make sure you're clean, crisp, all those things. Do your best. Have fun.
I think a lot of people just don't understand like thinning out your paints.
Yeah.
And so when they just apply, they don't really take any preparation as it goes right there to workmanship, I believe.
Yeah.
They don't really take the time. They just sort of, I want to make this custom. I want to get the likes. I want people like My Damn Toys and BW to comment on it. You know what I'm saying? So they sort of just like,
You're
they
right,
rush
though.
to it and they just rush to it and do something and try to earn, like those petty likes or those petty follows or whatever. So definitely just take your time on it. And I'm not saying nobody should try to impress me or BW. If you're doing good work, you're doing good work. I'm just stating what I know people do this. So
For
I'm
sure.
just putting it out there.
Absolutely.
And
And people, this is the modern age. So go check out people like My Damn Toys, Falcon Customs. They have all sorts of videos on how to do things. And Mad Reaper is starting to put out videos on how to do things. Check them all out. I mean, this is the information age. Use everything at your fingertips.
that's another thing as well, is because like I'll make a video about, how to do this or how to do that. And they'll send me a message and say, how do I do this? And I say, well, bro, I just uploaded a video on it 3 days ago. You gotta meet me halfway.
Right.
I made the video for you. Now go watch it so you can learn. And of course, if they have a question, of course I'll help them, or, I don't think that part looks good, or,
No.
Stuff like that. So
I think that's a huge thing. I mean, the patience. I think patience is so tough in painting. I remember when I first started doing customs, man, I was trying to be like, one coat is all it's gonna take, and that's all I'm gonna do. And it's
bro.
like, oh man, it's thick. But now it's like, I'll take 5 small little coats if that's what it takes me. And I'm OCD, so it's like nothing can escape my sight. And it's like you gotta be whatever. Oh.
So that white on my Pegasus kit on the stripe, it took me a few layers there.
And it was very clean. And
Very
I liked that because it is a push and pull method too. Like the best way you're going to get a clean line is if you go white overboard and then pull it back in with the dark.
Exactly.
color.
And I actually heard that on your was it your Q&A that you covered that?
It was on, it's one of
these. I watched that literally the other day after I watched the podcast. It popped up and I was like, I've never seen this, might as well. And I noticed your Joker painting in there as well. I was like, daggone, this dude can do it across all specs. So I shout out to you on that as well. That looked amazing.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, I was doing that first, and that's where it was like in grad school I was really tired from doing homework, and then I was like, I need something to let out my artistic side again, so I started painting.
Absolutely.
I did a Clint Eastwood, and then I did some airbrushing, and then my girlfriend got me an iPad, and that transferred over to whatever craziness that led me back to customs. So I guess that's the end of my story.
Man, we're glad that you came back.
This is a gateway drug. But so then I think that's a great breakdown of all the customs there. That's going to be the judging criteria. Let's move on to, I think, real life, because last time I was at an event, it was right after we were talking, and I think I was at TLC. My Damn Toys was not a fan of TLC.
No.
I actually wasn't either. I was stoked to see Finn and AJ, so I guess I wasn't too let down by...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a great match.
I was bummed out, though, that they didn't have Angle wearing the singlet. So I was like, oh, come on, like...
Oh, bro.
Oh, man, that's old, yeah.
It was awful, and that's actually where I discovered JD from New York, because I was like, I can't be the only one that's hating on this show. So I look up, TLC review, and his popped up, and I watched it, and he had me rolling, and now I'm like, I'm like a patron of JD now because of that. So.
Oh man, that was so. I love that event. First of all, thanks Pat for showing those, man. Those brought back some memories. I need to start doing some of that shit again. Going
Because
back
you're not
though,
busy enough already.
where I was going with the TLC at, like it was such a mixed bag of emotions, and I kind of feel the same way going into Elimination Chamber. I got some pre-sale tickets. I'm going to go there. I'm not expecting any surprises. I think Roman's going to win. That's my wife's favorite wrestler, so she's stoked. And I'm like,
That's my wife's favorite wrestler. That's my wife's favorite wrestler, so that tells you
I
something.
can't even be mad either. You know, I'm like, dude, like, Jason Momoa is a badass. Like, if I could be anyone, I'd be Jason Momoa. So Jason Momoa kind of looks like Roman Reigns. So I'm like, you know, it's not like, yeah. There could be a lot worse.
I mean,
wrestlers.
he's handsome. I mean, what can you say?
It's not Ric Flair. So
On that note, check out My Damn Toys because he does do predictions. They're very well thought out and logical. I don't always agree sometimes because I just don't want to believe, but it's true. I mean, I want Finn Balor to win. I mean, I'm not going to hide that.
That would be who I'd want to win. If I could book the match, it'd be Finn Balor.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Me too. I'd love to see Finn win the title again, but I feel like Vince is.
But then again, I kind of hope that they build up to it. Like they do this whole storyline, kind of building up to it. That would be really cool too. So
yeah,
it would be
as
cool
long as
to
he
like
eventually gets it.
turn the whole Balor Club like heel by having them turn on like start pretty much singling out Heyman and Brock and like kind of making him into like the Bullet Club leader again. But you know, like they really need to push that, and they're taking the steps in the right direction. I just don't know if they'll actually capitalize on it.
I actually covered that in a video a while back. It was like I fantasy booked. I don't remember what pay-per-view it was, but I fantasy booked like the Balor Club. I think it was like the night after they appeared on TV. I fantasy booked it, and I was like, you know what? They need to make Finn win the Rumble, and then he needs to not challenge Brock. He needs to be like, I'm going to SmackDown, and he needs to challenge AJ. And there you have your ties with the Balor Club and everything. And I was like, that would be beautiful, but you know, they don't ever think about things or think things through, and they just book stuff week to week, and it's just atrocious.
Speaking of, what do you think about pay-per-views now being both brands and instead of 3 hours going to the dreaded 4-hour pay-per-views?
I'm pretty upset about it, and this is why I hate the like they already like crap on their mid card as it is already. So like when you go to a dual brand, it's going to be the main focus is going to be all about your main events, all about your big, you know, your Brauns, your Cenas, your Ortons, your Brocks, your whatever, Roman Reigns, all those guys. So what happens to Rusev? What happens to Ziggler? What happens to, you know, the Miz? What happens to those small guys? And I think that they're really going to hurt those guys. Yeah, guys like that, they're going to really hurt those guys in the long run, and especially all the great talent that's in NXT right now coming up. Like, what's going to happen to them? So it's kind of scary. They already,
1,000%. And also, going to 4 hours, 3 hours is already long enough.
Yes, Jesus.
Then you're going to have a 4th hour, which is supposedly supposed to be for the young talent, but you know that's going to last all 2 seconds.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then they're gonna give them those petty 20 minutes on the pre-show with like the crowd's like a fourth full.
Yeah, man, that's so tough.
And absolutely 1,001%, no title should ever be defended on the pre-show.
I agree.
If they don't do do something with Finn here, he might end up on the pre-show for WrestleMania, dude. Like
I could see that. It needs to be him and Finn. That's literally, if you're not going to have him for the Universal, it might as well be for the Intercontinental. But this is another thing. I know this is sort of off topic, but I've always noticed in the pre-show that like the crowd's like a fourth full. If I'm paying $800 or etc. money,
right.
I'm going to be there before the damn door opens,
right.
and I'm going to be there ready to cheer on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, me too.
I was expecting nobody was there. The audience was completely empty.
Exactly.
So you brought up a good point on your video, though, that the bar has yet to be booked, and I think that is absolutely a shame too.
It is. That's atrocious.
Well, you know, like the thing is,
how can you overlook your tag team champions? I mean, that's.
Yeah, man, that's so tough. Like, I have no idea who they're gonna do. Like, at first I was thinking, because I don't know if you guys had seen like that billboard that someone like photoshopped like for Elimination Chamber, but it was like they had the date wrong, so you could tell it was a Photoshop, but they had actually photoshopped Cesaro in there, and because you know Sheamus, the backstage talk is all that Sheamus is getting close to retirement. He's gonna have to retire here. So
Yeah,
like,
he's got that neck injury.
It seemed like they were gonna push Cesaro into the main event status, probably instead of Elias. But considering like how Elias got over, it's kind of like what's next for Cesaro.
Yeah, exactly. And that goes back to another point. It's like Elias sort of got himself over, and
Yeah.
that's rare. He got himself over, and that's very, very rare. And I don't think that was in WWE's plan.
No.
But like Rusev gets himself over,
Yeah.
and they're like, got to keep him off TV. Can't have him
Yeah.
showing. Like, what is like? It's like they don't want to make money. They don't care about the product at all, and it blows my mind. Like, it's very frustrating to watch any WWE live TV.
It's absolutely 100% agreed, because like the thing is like I liked Elias, like, well, I liked heels generally, like both Pat and I like The Miz, so like he's a heel, he's a great heel. So I've always liked heels because I've liked Jeff Jarrett, Raven, those were my guys growing up. Elias, like I remember watching a video on YouTube that was at a house show, like he was like singing Wonderwall, and like the crowd was so in love with it that like he had to immediately turn to like insulting them just to try to be a heel still.
Exactly.
But, like, people want to like him.
That's the thing about Rusev is like he's such like a well-liked guy, and like he's like if you ever watch WWE's YouTube channel or whatever, Rusev, you can tell it's like a genuine hilarious guy. So like if they would just let him be himself, he would be one of the most over people in the company, which he is now because of the Rusev Day stuff.
He could be, and I mean he even had he gave Aiden some rub off, because when Aiden got eliminated at the Royal Rumble, it was like, oh, people were upset too.
Yes, yeah.
And Lana, like people were shouting Rusev Day. What like an awesome entrance for number 1 too, like having Aiden come out, announce Rusev. That was awesome, man.
So do you think the women main event again?
Oh God, I hope not.
No, I don't think so. I think this is why they're upgrading.
I think they will,
7.
but I don't think it's the best thing. They should be like, you know how you do the double main event, like halfway through you have a main event, and then at the end you have a main event.
Yeah,
that's the way it should occur. But knowing WWE,
I think I'd have the women open the show, and then
I would be
have my my trash matches. I think the middle of the show could probably be your contract signing, or your come down before the main event could be your contract signing, and then of course the men. I mean, that's an opportunity to fight Brock. It should be the main event, but you would have thought the same thing for the Royal Rumble. So
yeah, I just hope Brock loses the belt. I'm a big Brock fan, but I mean the Miz has to carry the whole entire show because there's no other title. So
you're right.
Who do you?
But it's what?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like they talk about like the Miz revitalizing the Intercontinental title and stuff, but like he hasn't even defended it in like good fashion. It's like every Miz match, if you've seen one Miz match, you've seen them all. You know what I'm saying? So like, I wish they would evolve him in the ring, because like he's such a great personality, like amazing on the mic.
Yeah.
Like he's top 3 in the company, obviously. So I don't know. I just wish they would have him defend the title, make him more believable in the ring, and not have the same Jinder Mahal finish to your matches every time.
Right?
Yeah.
Pat loves Mizraj.
Well, Mizraj is great, and I had a figure made. I hope everyone checks it out on my.
I saw it. It looks amazing. I like that.
Yeah, Lonely Bone Dust did a really great job on that. But I think that being a heel, you should occasionally, take the short way out, but not constantly. Or
I agree with you. Yeah.
Shortcut. Don't use the same shortcut every time. Okay, Mizraj is gonna come, get distraction. He's gonna win.
Exactly.
Makes him look weaker than he is. He's like a really good wrestler. He's great on the mic, as you said. He is probably in the top 3 on there. So
definitely.
Who do you think the WWE universe as a whole wants to be the winner of this? Because I'm getting like a Braun Strowman feel. And do you think WWE is going to give Braun that match?
I don't think they're going to give it to him. And the reason I say that is because their first match I hated. It was atrocious. I thought it was just not a good match. So
suplex, and then pause, suplex, pause. Braun gets a move in, pause, suplex. It was atrocious to watch.
It's just not what people. I think most people want it to be the triple threat now. That thought was thrown around. I think everybody wants Seth to be involved now, some way.
Why is everyone? That's a very nice figure. why is everyone so like? Why is Seth so over, man? I can never get.
I think it was literally that gauntlet match. That gauntlet match is where it all started. It's like as soon as he went an hour 5 minutes, pinned John Cena and Roman, they were like, "Oh, Seth needs to be in that match now." It's like the WWE fans are the dumbest fans you'll ever see in your entire life.
Well, I think the Monday show really showed how bad WWE is, because Seth basically said, "You have no plans for me. Put me into something." That's pretty poor when that has to be a storyline.
That is true, and that's, I mean, it's not all his fault because, you know, his opponents keep falling like flies, but I do agree with that. It's like I don't know, they have no direction for anything, and they just sort of book it however they want. They don't really care what the people want. They say they do, but they clearly do not. So it's just very frustrating to watch. And like SmackDown, I find SmackDown harder to watch than Raw.
Same
and
here.
I think it's like the direction that they're going is just awful. And I'm a huge Ziggler fan, and what they've done with him is just, oh my God, it's just
I'd agree with
atrocious.
And it
It's
sounds
like-
like though that's why he got resigned, or that's why he ended up resigning. I guess is because he kind of got to. He's like, I'm okay putting people over on the mid card, but I want to leave the arena after my shit's done. I gotta leave. I'm not waiting.
And they paid him a
then
shit
he gets
ton
to
of
do
money.
his stand up comedy whenever he wants. So
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
man.
just, it's
Huge.
dumb because they have him lay down the title, and then he comes out number 30 at the Rumble. I'm psyched. I'm like, oh my God, this dude's about to win. He's about to prove everybody. And then he gets eliminated in 90 seconds.
yeah,
And I'm like, oh my God, here we go again. So then he comes out, and he didn't even give a reason why he left. He just was like, yeah, here I am, number one contendership. For what reason? Why is he here?
yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. They never explained the whole laying down the belt, what it meant, why he did it. He comes in the Rumble, total waste.
Well, what the
you know,
reasoning was
and
is
now
that
he's just kind of here and
Yeah.
there, oh, we need somebody. I would like to see Shane McMahon form with Dolph Ziggler, like kind of a corporation version 2, where he gets a couple people and they just screw over Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens all the time. And
I'd be fine with that. I just want him to have some sort of direction. Like, can you imagine if I think they're going to put the title on him at Fastlane, and I think it would do wonders for him. They may not, but I feel like they might, just because, I don't know, you don't pay somebody $1.5 million a year to, I don't know, to job. I just think that doesn't make any sense,
Yeah.
even if he's okay with it and stuff. I just don't know if that's going to be the direction. But I think, don't be surprised is what I'm saying, if he walks out of Fastlane with the title.
Speaking of which, let's go break down the Matt Hardy Bray Wyatt.
Oh, God.
I was really interested at first in this whole angle, and now, I mean, I'm gonna be
they
like,
just
it's
kept
gonna
doing
be
promos
cool,
and promos
but
and promos and promos, and basically half their promos laughing at each other. And it's like, I too was excited for it in the beginning, and I was like, okay, this is going to be great. It's going to be amazing. And then they just drug it out with these stupid promos and the laughing back and forth. And then this guy screwed that guy and that guy screwed this guy. And now it's just like, can we just get it over with and put Matt Hardy in something that matters?
Their match at Raw 25 was like the worst match I've ever seen. It was
Yeah.
horrendous.
yeah,
And it was crazy because it was like, the crowd wasn't into it because they were pissed off because they didn't get anything shown. It was like the only match they got to see all night at the Manhattan Center or whatever.
yeah.
And so they showed us like their entrances. They went to commercial. They came back. They wrestled for like 3 minutes of like awful rest holds. And then they went to commercial. We came back and it was a pinfall. And it was just like, what was this for?
Yeah.
What was the point? And now they have a match at Elimination Chamber that I doubt's any better. I hope I'm wrong, but I wouldn't see it going any other way.
They really need to like help. Like when Bray got sick, and AJ had to step in. Like that was something where I think they could have, if they would have done Sister Abigail right. I mean, I know it was weird having him do the voice, but if they would have done it right and really allow his character to be like, what's the reasoning he can turn off the lights? You know, like what's that power come from? And I think like if they can really refine that out, you know, like Mil Muertes and Lucha Underground, it's like you need to build up that reasoning, because you could have these two characters invent their own title and fight for each other as like two twisted individuals. But like I feel like Matt Hardy, for me, being a big Alice in Wonderland fan, you know, like the Mad Reaper that came from Mad Hatter.
Exactly.
I think he's kind of supposed to be that character that Johnny Depp kind of airhead but they're not like capitalizing on it, because to me that's where I see that inspiration from. And then Bray on the other hand is a cult leader, but now he's without a cult, he's by himself. So like you kind of see like this new Raven type character who's supposed to be very psychological, but Raven never had supernatural powers. Now if you like end up having Matt Hardy believe that he was actually like possessed by this intercelestial being, like Zordon or something. Like you need to give him a power, two powers to fight with each other, and I think that would be a cool match. They won't do it, but they should.
Yeah. They drowned it out, and it's like I guess they maybe believe that like the Undertaker's gone, we don't have any more original gimmicks. So it's like they could have evolved Bray into that type of gimmick if they wanted to, but they just totally dropped the ball. Like I remember Bray was very, very over. He was sort of like Rusev, like you know what I'm saying? Like everybody loved him because he was an OG character.
Yeah.
They did something off the wall like Undertaker. It was like an Undertaker type character, like you were talking about with the supernatural stuff. And I don't know, man. They just, I don't know what they. If I was Bray Wyatt,
it's like Ziggler. They need to use them or get rid of them.
Exactly.
Give him that final push, or there's no point in him being out there. And hopefully they're not going to drop the ball on Matt Hardy, because I think he has a lot of potential, and he was super over in TNA, and the character was really great and properly used. Which I think part of it is they need to give him creative control. So that's what he had in TNA, was just complete creative control of his character, and not that WWE would do that, but have him more of a say than what he's having now, because now it's just kind of stupid.
Supposedly the WWE did that, but I don't know.
I don't think so, because it's like the promos he cuts are like, he would used to be able to go off the wall and talk about whatever he wanted, and like he would, I don't know, he was just so like OG. He was like himself.
Yeah.
And now it's just like all he does is laugh. So
yeah, and then Bray Wyatt laughs, and then they laugh at each other, and then they laugh some more, and bring back Senior Benjamin and the drone and all those cool things.
Yeah, definitely. They need to do that, and hopefully, maybe when Jeff Hardy returns, we'll get something.
Yeah, like speaking of which, I got my WWE shop figures. I didn't open them yet, but I got that whatever the Hardy ones were.
Yeah, I'm excited. Mine are at home. I've been waiting forever. When they finally restocked them, I ordered them immediately, and they just now got here. I hate WWE shop shipping. I actually, Mad Reaper, I sent you a future custom project. You probably don't have time for it right now, but I sent the parts for it just so it would be in your hands.
Oh, awesome!
I sent them. I sent you your Morrison. I sent the 2 Roman vests, and then I sent my promo Ziggler that we talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent all the parts for that. So
yeah, I got a couple ideas. I was thinking about that because I'm doing a Corey Graves for someone. And
definitely those definitely mesh.
Yeah, I'm like, man, I like doing denim. I don't know.
You got skinny jeans ready to go, and like hopefully the cuffs and the Converses that we were talking about, hopefully that'll work out pretty good.
I think they will.
The problem with WWE.com is even if you get express shipping, they still mess you over. It's like 4 or 5 days before they even look at your order.
Exactly, yeah.
It's horrible. They need to redo that completely. Fire everybody. Start over.
They sell a basic for $20 on the WWE shop. I'm like, how are you guys selling $20 for a basic?
Exactly, yeah.
Especially when basics are getting crappier and crappier.
Which is another thing. I wanted to go back because I know when we were showing the scoring card, you mentioned something about like the customs, like having like a seminar or like a fest for like customs. It's like interesting you say that because it's like Mattel. I don't think they venture out, and like ringside, they don't really venture out into any of that stuff. They don't ever, touch on customs. They don't ever touch on any of that. And it's really interesting. Like, if maybe one day we could get this stuff built up enough to where we could have our own booth at Ringside Fest, or our own con or something like that. If you could just get it big enough and have the which goes back to the basics, because I feel like they try to make it the hardest possible process in order to make custom. Sometimes they're like, with different torsos and different head scans and the neck pegs and all that stuff being different sizes and stuff. And now arms can't even be removed on new basics, so you can't do fix-ups and stuff.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like they're like getting more like, I don't know. It's really going to hurt the basics, though, because now people aren't going to buy them for fix-ups. They're going to just buy them to keep them in the packaging, I guess.
I used to buy them, if they were like the first one in the series or something, or obviously the women wrestlers because not a lot of them are in elites, but now it's looking good. But you know what? All of our fans, all of My Damn Toys fans, get out there, tell Mattel, tell Ringside that you want us to have a fest and be a part of it, and let's get something done. Let's make some magic.
I know
I agree.
that Bill McKenna. I know I listened to his episode on the Sam Roberts podcast. I'm a big podcast listener too, and Sam Roberts has some cool ones. But he was talking about he's gonna be at the Toy Con over in Vegas there that I'm gonna try to check out. But like the thing is, Mattel could make they could make 30% profit now if they were to dip in and acknowledge a custom world, because they do have the build of superstars. And if you could imagine those available, even as basics, like if you were if you were marketing them in like a customizing type style, those torsos are super easy to pop together and everything, and like that is a market that you can grow into because people have to consume your figures to make customs.
Why don't people freaking DC and Marvel Legends have the Build-A-Figures? Why isn't every Elite series a Build-A-Figure? I've always wondered, like, screw the diorama sets.
Right.
Give me a title belt, a cloth shirt, and a freaking head to another figure and build the set so you can build the figure.
A very important part.
Yes.
Block. I hate the rubber. Completely, utterly hate the rubber.
I hate the rubber.
Block.
But I also hate these things. Dude, I probably got like 80 of them. I'm going to just try to sell because I can't deal with them or throw them away, light them in fire. But I hate them so much, and that would be such a great idea if they did that, because that's exactly what we need. I mean, in reality, like, I envision like the future of customizing or this thing is, I was tossing around a book last year with Showstopper and Custom King and kind of like seeing like it would be cool to have a book that details these guides, and then I'm like, well, nowadays people watch videos and consume their information that way, so maybe I should do a video set. Regardless, there's so much more room for growth in the customizing world. Like if we were to right now say, hey, My Damn Toys, we're going to start a company that is going to sell custom parts, right? We're going to have an automatic business there built in that you can build the infrastructure around. Same with like what Rhino Hitscan's done. Like, he's so busy he can't even do it anymore, but he's done his job so well that like people want all the hit scans. And so like there's little offsets here of customizing that can be exploited in a good way to grow everything, but they're not being touched because there's no central place. That one custom board that not for wrestling figures, but was it Figure Realm? Figure Realm. Yeah, like I love Figure Realm. Like checking out all the custom on there.
Too. Yes,
that is like the center base of what we need for the wrestling customizing community, because without it, and like old wrestling figs back in the day, it was like forums, but we need a center, like an authority, not a pure.
That's what Mad Reaper and I are really trying to build, is a community where everyone can come together and and promote each other and help each other, and we're looking to take things to the next level. We're just trying to figure
I can totally get behind that. And also what I'd like to say is, like, I feel like the fig forums are so hard to like maneuver and like get around. It's not user friendly at all. It's like you have to, I don't know, there's like 1 million pages, and there's like people quoting this and quoting that and replying to this. And you want to know the reason why is because it started in the late 90s or early 2000s.
Yeah.
It's very, very old. So like it needs to have some sort of update. Like you said, we need to have like, I don't know if a website's the best way to go, but maybe like an app like Instagram, but it's like only for,
No, absolutely.
That's a cool idea.
Because even like Facebook groups, like that's why, I mean, forums are obsolete, right? Because we have groups now on Facebook where it's easy to just have a conversation with someone.
Exactly. That's basically what we're talking about, just in a different light.
Right. And yeah, that's definitely got to be something where I'd see that going. I was like, if I could crack 1,000 torsos, and I like doing that, which I don't, I would be like, I could sell them. You could actually make profit off of the figure. If you get parts for like $5 for a figure, you can sell the upper piece for $5, the legs for $5, whatever. Like,
look at what Will's doing. He's selling customizable hands.
You can do that, but you can like literally, like, I see what you're saying. You sort of get the parts and then you sell the part. Like you're talking about getting like a massive production of the parts and then selling the parts individually. So you don't have to go out and buy the $20 figure. I can buy the $3 torso that comes already cracked, that comes ready to go. All I got to do is glue it together, paint it, do whatever I want with it.
Yes, because if we do that, it opens up the road for new customizers, for being able to see what we love about it. And then if they want their parts for cheaper, then they learn how to do that. And that's...
I don't even know how you would go about that. Maybe, like, I guess you would have to get in touch with, like, I don't know. I don't think Mattel like owns the rights to a mold. Like, I don't think that happens.
They do, but we would probably just end up having to crack them ourselves, I guess. But it would be cool because I was researching, right? Like, if I did that Lucha Underground, right, I couldn't use Mattel's molds. But like what they did back on, I don't know if you guys watched that TV series, like The Toys That Made Us on Netflix. It's a really good one. But they talked about Star Wars and how all those guys in the early '80s, when they were inventing figures, with like kit bash, and that's pretty much customizing, and they just have another figure, Kenner's figure, and be sculpting over it and be like, hey, this is what the toy's gonna look like. It's like last minute into these meetings. And I was like, mine are gonna be with the exact same elite articulation, but they're just gonna have more realistic body molds, because that's what like I would do, is make them more realistic. And they're gonna look like a McFarlane figure, play like a WWE figure.
Could you like could you buy their molds and then sculpt over it?
Yeah.
And like make the cast? Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That would be that would work, because then again it's not the original piece.
Right.
So I see what you're saying. Yeah.
It's modified
That'd be
enough.
Awesome. And if and I don't think they could get you if you privately sold it. It's not like we're gonna be bigger that, you know what I'm saying? It's not like it's gonna be copywritten, because we're not gonna be that big enough to where it's like, hey, you can't do that no more.
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe not. Yeah. Somebody contacted Mad Reaper. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's true.
Well, that's Pro Wrestling Tees, but that's a Bullet Club property. If I own Bullet Club, I'd be doing the same.
I'm saying somebody contacted you about figures, making figures. So.
But yeah, no, I mean,
some big name contacted Mad Reaper about making figures.
I saw that.
Oh yeah, that other one. Yeah. I thought you meant you meant the cease and desist we got from Pro Wrestling Tees for the custom club tee. The lawyer. Yeah, but anyways, no. Man, yeah. Where was I going with that?
You're going to say,
I went so
we want to build something magical. We want My Damn Toys to be a part of it.
We need to build building that next level of it. You have to build a economy within the hobby. That's what drives hobbies. So you need the paint. We need to bring Warhammer on board. Like my Warhammer that sells Citadel paints, I was like talking to him. He's such a huge wrestling fan. Every time I come in, he's like, who are you working on? Like, he knows I don't build Warhammer, but like,
yeah, I'm the same way with my comic shop. I'm the same way at the comic shop. Yeah. It's like you go in there, you buy Game Color, you buy Citadel, whatever. I see what you're saying though. Like if you could get to where you maybe this guy provides the parts from Mattel or whoever, and then this guy sculpts, and then this guy paints it up, and then it's off to packaging and shipped out to the order, whatever. Right. So like if I wanted this more realistic, I don't know, if I wanted this more realistic Big Show, whatever it is, I buy this and you can pick the colors. Do you want, this skin tone, this skin tone, this skin tone? Right. And you'd have options.
Like, yeah, and it's going and that is like the order completion side, and then even as a parts source, like if people don't want to just torso crack, it's like, oh, I need 5 small torsos, or just stuff like that. Like there's all I know is the day I decide to get out of customizing, I'm gonna sell that huge bin of fodder figures that I have. But I'm like, if I had a lot of time, what I would do is crack all of them and sell all the pieces separately, because people would eat that up,
Yeah.
They would, because you know how many DMs I get about my fodder when I post it, in the ring?
I bet. Yeah. Even me, every time I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, hey, I'm going to...
Well,
yeah, exactly.
It's like the thing with Will, he does that, and I'm willing to pay him not to poke my own fingers,
Exactly.
So if I could get a cracked torso and not slice my finger, then, people are going to do that, so...
And it goes back to a point. It's like when I the reason that I don't do a lot of my own customs, this goes back to one of Mad Reaper's questions, is that I'm like a perfectionist. So like I know I could probably do it. It just won't look how I want. So I always go to the best of the best for my work. So that's why you see me with
You go to
Showstopper.
Mad Reaper?
I go to Mad Reaper. I go to BW, and those are the 3 best customizers in my opinion. So that's who I go to all the time.
Jeez, thanks, bro. You're making me. Can't see the mask, but I'm blushing. It's black.
I found you on Facebook though, so I saw your face.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to hide my other identity. But no,
Just
man,
Crime Lord.
it's
Just Crime Lord in the day job.
I know we're making never mind. It's a long offshot story. So going back to, dude, when we get a custom convention, like I think that's the end goal. Need to build. As more people are getting into it, I guess we should talk about what's the next generation of customizers going to be like. I guess my brain's like running 100 miles an hour, but what is the next entry point, right? Like, how did you get into customizing? How did you get into customizing? Like, I mean, it comes from like seeing a wrestler that hasn't been made yet. Like, so imagine like, I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm going way off topic. Pat, just really.
No, you're good. You're good, man.
My like brain, once I start thinking about an idea and elaborating on it, that's all I could focus on. And
we are very obsessive people. When we come up with an idea like the World Cup, that we're talking about having, that's where our focus is.
Speaking of which, yeah. Team USA, like I know Rock Jabroni and Showstopper are already trying to recruit Chargrove. They didn't want Chargrove, so my damn toys, you gonna be Team USA?
Oh, absolutely.
You better join me. We better start building our roster because.
Yeah, you're right. We got to get BW.
Yes, we do.
But going back to your point about the convention, you can grab customizers from every action figure known to man. It ain't got to be
right.
WWE figures. You know what I'm saying? Like we could grab the Marvel Legends and the SH Figure Arts and the guys that do it all could all come. And that's another place where people could probably sell their customs as well. Like all the big name customizers.
Yes,
set up booths, sell their customs, explain everything. Like I could already envision it.
Right? And that's exactly what I was saying. I was like, man, I keep willing these things to existence.
Marauder Task Force makes these figures, but these arms pop off for customizing purposes. The elbows pop off for customizing purposes. The waist you can take off for customizing purposes. So they just make it so much easier, and they sell all the parts separately. So something like that's absolutely a brilliant market, and they did a great job doing that.
And like I could already envision
for World War II figures, so check that out.
Yeah, I was gonna say like some of those guys that customize Marvel Legends and sculpt. Like I follow Anthony's Customs on Patreon
he's
and
amazing.
on YouTube. Yeah, man, he's an amazing customizer. But like his prices are insane too, and like if he's doing the gargoyle work and like that's like the next level of stuff. Like realistically, if I was really gonna start a toy company and which is a possibility here. Like, I'm going to go to the customizers that can 3D sculpt because I'm going to take a whole new approach to it. It's going to be underground. Like, if you're Lucha Underground, you guys are going to have underground figures. You need to build it up with the same reputation as your as your audience, your demographic. Exactly. But, you go about it in a way to where you have the coolest action figure there is. Like, to me, Storm Collectibles Hogan paint job is awesome because it's like a 6-scale manufacturer. Their part selection, like that crotch and stuff, being like a big rotocast part, is nothing compared to a Mattel. Like Mattel's got that piece down. But it's about things like that. I would totally take that approach to it. And those guys like Anthony's Customs, man, they're killers. And they could teach courses on sculpting or teach courses on, how do they sand? Like, I think sanding is something that, if you look at BEW's first Alistair to his second, his second is even better. And it was hard to make a great thing better. But it is because of that smoothing. And it's, it's an art form, man.
It'd be great to do like a TED Talks with, different customizers, maybe creating a different figure and, going out and going through their process or things that they specialize like crotch cracking.
Yeah, it's like Biondo, the great Biondo, the cracker of crotches. Like
I've never attempted that. Like I haven't even I'm not even motivated enough to do one of those. Like so, if I have to crotch crack to do it, then it ain't worth my time.
I gotta say, I tried and I failed. I can't do it. I'm like stuck trying to.
It is amazing.
Yeah, here I was gonna share.
Your Hall of Famer.
So this is a little nugget for customizers that don't know. I mean, I'm sure you guys know, but if you're just getting into the art, like the biggest thing is like I didn't look to just do wrestling figures. I looked at 6-scale figures, my hot toys, like for inspiration. So this is Figure Realm. This is what we're talking about here, and they got a whole lot of customs. It's kind of like a board, kind of not, but they have a place up here, features. You go to customs, and now when you're in the customs side profile here, or
I love the search engine. Like when you hit customs, and then it brings up like every brand name,
yeah.
and that's like my favorite part.
Oh yeah, here. Why is this? Okay, here we go. So like now when you come here, see you got the dioramas, you got the miniatures, statues, vehicles, action figures, but up here you have tutorials, and that is where a lot of knowledge lies. That you guys heard me talk about the super glue trick. It is something that works. There's a tutorial on here about the super glue trick. From here, I learned how to dye my plastic. I was making my Mil Mercedes, but I wanted him to be able to bend, and I only had red Connor links. They didn't have any thick black ones. I dyed that red black, and then painted it black, but that shit's not rubbing. But all that was from here, is my point. And
it's crazy how like this comes full circle, because when I first started with my hobby with the Dragon Ball Z figures, I actually came to this site because they had so many of them on here.
Yeah.
And so I started looking, and I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, I'm an art dude. I could probably make some custom. So then I went up. I got on this tutorials, and I literally went through all of these that you're looking at right here. And I even like bought some, like I bought a Dremel. All the stuff that I bought for my DBZ figures, I now use for my WWE. So that's just insane.
No, dude, my Dremel has followed me for 18 years. And
That's
yeah,
a big one. Shoulder joint protection.
So if you go look at this, you'll talk about. I mean, this is talking about here. Well, you're looking at, they're usually little comic strips, so that's what's cool. It's talking about the shoulder, the tools you need, and if we could have these tutorials for wrestling specific, and they'd be killer, like, and that's what that DVD series would probably have. Yep. But you go along it, and how you're sanding them, these pivot points, and like this is where the preparation of customizing figures really adds. Gets your investment tenfold, because you'll put on so much more work sanding it down, but now when you're moving the ball joint, it's not scraping off. Like, I'll super glue my Prince Puma. Yellow's so hard to paint, I have to paint Sin Cara black legs. And when I paint that yellow, I'm super gluing the top of them. And when the Prince Puma bends, it's got to go through that layer of super glue. But,
yeah, exactly.
All these on
But yeah, it's so crazy, though, like how that comes full circle. Like, I think it was like 2015, and now here we are in 2018, and now it's like coming full circle. So that's just yeah, that's like amazing. I may even have something on here.
Yeah, man. Here, where's that super glue? I can't.
I'm trying to think if I uploaded. I uploaded a Goku. I think I like took the. I don't know if y'all are. Yeah, I think. I don't know if y'all are familiar with like the anime, but like, we got the Awakened Warrior Goku. He's like got his Namek battle damage figure. So I took that and I added some brown dry brushing, and I came in and made him like dirty, and then I added cuts and stuff, and it was like one of my first big posts on on Instagram, and like I got a ton of feedback. I must see if I can find it, because I know somebody reposted it. I'm gonna go back and see if I can find it.
I was trying to look for my old posts and wrestling figs for them, but they're so old I cannot find my original pictures of my figures. But I remember that was back when people used to scan the figures in, and still have a couple of the figures. But
and it's crazy. Like, all this stuff is like really. In all of this, usually, like, if you're just going to paint your figure or just to set up on the shelf, like, this will teach you how to make your figures to where you can, like, fully play with them and not have any issues.
Yeah, and see right here, just a little bit of super glue. It dries transparent, and it's, like, the hardest level of a sealant you could get. And so when someone's like, what do you use for sealer? I'm like, a lot.
Super glue.
I use a lot. I use a little bit of super glue. I use Krylon and I use Citadel.
I watched a Burnout Inc. tutorial on that exact method like this morning.
Oh, no way. For super glue?
Yeah. Yeah, the super glue. Like it was about like fixing your joints that are like really loose. And it was like use the needle to like put the super glue in there and it'll like tighten it up. But
Yeah,
you like
for
work the joint.
some even crazier stuff that I haven't seen on here yet, but I learned when I was on that Stan Winston stuff was the super glue Kickstarter. So you like it super cures super glue. So like the crown acetal, whatever the scientific name for super glue is, there's this spray chemical that makes it set instantly. So what I do and what I've done for Drago here is use a super glue, shot it with the quick set, it hardens up and crystallizes right away. And you have like clay. So like when I have loose ball joints and I'll pop off the leg, I'll do a layer of super glue around that ball joint, cure it up, let it dry. It's hard, it adds some bulk. So now when the leg joint's back on, it's stiff again and it's perfect. But super glue is like, it should be in everyone's arsenal, hands down.
Oh, it definitely is. I had to go buy some yesterday or 2 days ago to fix my Elias.
Oh man, it's never
Yeah,
fun.
this would be really cool if we could get like different customizers to come on and give different tips on different figures, different.
Here's that Goku, if y'all can see it.
Oh man, no way.
Nice.
So, like, if you've seen the original, it
Yeah.
doesn't have any. It doesn't have any of the wear and tear. I also added the yellow and blue to the boots because it wasn't anime accurate with the one we
Wash,
got.
too. I love
Yeah.
when figures are painted like that.
And I actually I bought another one and painted it up like that, and I sold it for like $150. So I was like, it
Jeez.
retail for $40. So I was like, hell
That's
yeah,
a steal.
yeah.
Man, that's
And it's like funny because if you read the caption, if you can, it says
great custom.
follow his
from-
Instagram. It says my name, and then it says his Instagram, My Name Toys. If you check the date, it says 2015. So that just tells you late 2015. So that's crazy.
That's crazy. I like when people actually that's where I learned my first black wash technique at, and that's I use on it pretty much every single custom now. Is black wash or something. It has a wash on it, just because it pops out the sculpt, But I like when figures are painted like with that tri-level system.
Yeah.
Yeah. So either way, yeah. I just want to show you guys Figure Realm. If you guys weren't aware, now you are. Cool. Well, I think that's all we got to talk
Will
about.
you walk with my damn toy?
I like that, Elias.
Everybody was like, it looks like Sandow. I'm like, because it is Sandow. I wasn't trying to like make some elaborate thing. It's just
Honestly,
like a
if you look
playful.
at the Elias prototype, he looks like Sandow. Like that's the truth
Yeah,
of it.
he really
Like,
does.
That figure, that head scan looks exactly like Sandow. If you look at the official figure.
Yeah. People were like, "Is this the new Elite 60?" I'm like, "Get out of my face! It's not even that. Not even that good."
It is
like,
though, because
Jesus.
the part selection. I think you got a very
I
good
really
eye for
like
part
parts.
selection, and the wrist. Those are what the Luke Harper bandanas and stuff. I think
Mhm.
those are great, and that's exactly what official figure would
That's
have.
the first thing I zoomed in on were the wrists. I'm like, ooh, did you get the wrist done properly? Yeah, it was really
Yeah.
great. And also, when commenting on things, don't just say it sucks or you're missing this. Say, hey, great figure. You did this. I really like that. Be positive, build the community, help out the younger people, but also, be respectful. 'Cause I've
That's
been
the
reading a
last
lot
thing.
of posts.
I'll touch on that real quick. There's a kid that he uploaded some custom and like it honestly, in my opinion, didn't look very good. But like he had like 12 comments that were like, "This is so good, like the best battler I've ever seen," stuff like that. And I was like, well, I commented and I was like, it's a good start. Try to take your time and thin out your paints and try to do your best. I was like, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I was like, don't let these comments blow your head up. You need to focus on preparation and
Yeah.
thinning out your paints and focus on your application and stuff like that. So I was like, geez. But yeah,
Man,
Mad Reaper made a great
did he get upset?
point last week. That,
I think he was like, appreciate it, bro, but everybody seems to like it. So I was like, okay.
Shit.
Yeah, I was like, okay, all right.
Mad Reaper brought up a great point last week, though, that from the wrestling figs days where everyone was like absolutely brutal, like the best customs were just boom, and now we're all kissing up and
Yeah.
oh, that's really great. That's the best ever. And be honest, and encourage people, but don't blow smoke.
That was, I know Damien, I was talking to him about, he has a lot of good ideas for show growth and like other segments and stuff, and that should be a segment right there. Like let's do a roast of figures. Like if someone really wants their work honestly critiqued, not like dogged on for no reason, but like brutally critiqued, like I would do that totally. Just
yeah.
They have to subject themselves to that because what else?
If you're interested, comment below. As always, follow My Damn Toys. Follow the Mad Reaper Studios. It's been a pleasure. We love having you on. Come on again. Let's build something magical.
Let's do. Are y'all gonna upload this full thing?
Yeah.
You're gonna upload the full thing?